Hi, it's Roger here with another episode of Entrepreneur TV, and this is a super special episode actually because we are here in Bali close to 2 years since I launched this Entrepreneur TV channel on YouTube, and we just reached 2 million views. So we continue to grow, connecting entrepreneurs around the world, and so we thought what better way to celebrate this and then a Q&A video. So I've got lots of your questions. These questions actually have come from a very special group. This is my Entrepreneur Mastermind group. They sent in a whole bunch of different questions for this episode. So I'm going to go through these different questions. And we basically have every single month a mastermind group where everyone comes together. They have a chance to ask questions. They get to hear from some of the people in our entrepreneurial community that are actually building their business. Some of the questions that we got here are really, really good questions. So I'm going to jump into them, and you're going to get a bit of an idea pretty quickly which one of these might be most relevant also for you and where you're at. So the first question is actually from someone in England. Her name is Lafina Demandis. So hi Lafina. And Lafina has a company called eurekadoc.com. So what she does is she actually helps doctors and anyone in the medical profession see ways they can niche their brand, and also how they can get involved in other specific areas. Like she actually has how to be a doctor for astronauts, like space doctors, and all different niches that people can actually start focusing at, which is wherever their passion happens to be. And her question is, what are the most important considerations and best ways to deal with competitors who want to partner with you? Okay, so this is kind of interesting because a lot of us, when we're starting a business, we're very protective. We're like, I don't want others around me to know what I'm doing, without realizing that we are living in such a collaborative society now. You can pick any industry and you can go right to the top of the industry, including in coaching and training, including in consulting, and the people who are right at the top will already have partnership programs where they're working together, either as a marketing partner, as a content partner, as a distribution partner with others in the field as well. You know, you can go out today and be partners today with Amazon and market anything on Amazon and actually get a percentage from it, all right? Or actually use something like Facebook, or use a CRM system or an account system and find whoever is supplying that to you. They'll have a partnership program that you can join as well. So my answer to you, Lafina, is the person you think is a competitor is not a competitor. The person who is looking right now potentially at the same customer that you are to serve that customer, there's a very, very good chance that if you actually work together with them, the customer would have a better experience than if just working on their own. So what can that look like? Let's say, for example, you have someone that's delivering training to doctors just like you are, and maybe they're doing it a slightly different way. Maybe they're doing it online, or maybe they're doing it exactly the same way. They're running workshops like you do, and so they're out there running those workshops. You know, if you actually go to them and said, well, we've got a group of people who are on our database, you've got a group that's on your database, why don't we run a joint event together and just see what happens if we actually brought everyone together? We both had a chance to share what we do and how we do it, and we both have a chance to support each other. Maybe we actually create a co-produced product that we actually deliver in such a way that people can then end up working with both of us. And you're going to find that just by going down that pathway, everything transforms. I talk about the Beatles strategy, and the Beatles strategy is that it took them 5 years to get from a point where they started playing publicly to the point where they actually had their first product themselves. And the Beatles strategy was step number 1, play covers. Actually, they went out playing Buddy Holly. They played Buddy Holly's music because people knew Buddy Holly better than they knew the Beatles. They didn't know who the Beatles were. And they were doing that in their local area, Liverpool, where Buddy Holly didn't happen to be because he's in America. So that first step was saying, well, who really has the best products? You might think that person's your competitor. They become your partner. Step number 2 is after you actually get good at actually going to your customers who they don't have with their products, is then you then share the stage with them. That's where you become the opening act. And that's what the Beatles started to do, where they got invited on to where they can now play their own music. You can now deliver your own product. And so now you're delivering your own product, which then leads you to that third level. But you're not delivering product, people aren't coming to you where you're having to sell your brand and product, you're parachuting in on someone else's brand. It's a lot easier to climb the mountain if you parachute in on someone's brand than it is to climb your own mountain by building your own brand. And then the third aspect is they become the main stage. You know, everyone now knows the Beatles, everyone's heard about them, it's all word of mouth. And of course, at that point, they'll have other people who are now the ones playing their covers. They now have other people who are the ones who are now their opening act. And so just always know that this ecosystem continues to grow, and anyone that you've got out there, provided you actually are able to connect with them in the right way for the good of the customer, you'll find a way to work together. And if you don't, that's when you move on and partner with someone else. All right, let's come next to Monica. So we have Monica Batsuk here, who has her website, monicabatsuk.com, and she helps entrepreneurs now really all over Asia actually. She says, I've been having traffic capacity issues. Okay, we've got a very technical question here. Traffic capacity issues from my website, right? So my website performance is down. It's going a lot slower than it should do. I wonder if you have any suggestions or directions I could use in terms of creating online business systems, and what would you do if you were me? I built the site myself. Okay, so for anyone out there who is designing a site or is putting any experience online, your speed is everything. You know, it's like if you actually look at why something like Google has become so successful, or why something like Facebook has become so successful, people underestimate how much that has to do with the fact that people don't like waiting for a website. So if they're waiting, they'll drop off, they won't come back again. And these are all things that you can actually track through analytics. The number one thing you need to do is make sure you actually have the right service provider, which is where you're actually hosting your site. The good news, again, talking about partnerships, is you can go straight to Amazon today, and Amazon actually has got their entire hosting site. In fact, Amazon now makes ridiculous amounts of money through their hosting, where they will host for you. They'll give you all the tools that you need. They'll make sure your site never goes down, and it's super fast, right? So you want to make sure you're not, like, clearly what you did is that you actually got your site and you put it onto a server or a service provider who was clearly very slow, wasn't able to keep up with your demand. And so you just have to relocate, right? And that's about you saying, right, where do I actually want to locate? Where's the very best place for me to host my website? And just go out there, pick one. If it was me, I'd pick Amazon, right? Just use Amazon Web Services. Go see how cheap it is to actually use them. And you're gonna find, this is for everything, by the way, not just for where you host your website, it's where you do your accounts, it's how you manage your CRM system. The very, very best in the world tends to also now be often the cheapest. And that's because in the old days, when people weren't leveraging, if you wanted someone better, you had to pay for the expertise. Today, everyone's smart enough to figure out they can create a platform where whether they're delivering a service to one person or 100,000 people, it's really not that much difference in price. But in the case of 100,000 people, you're sharing that cost across 100,000. So it actually becomes a lot cheaper for everybody. That's why so many of the best services in the world are actually free to start with. So just go out and relocate. That's the first thing. What I'd say as well, in terms of what would you do if you were me, I wouldn't build the site myself, right? Like, you've got too many other things you should be doing. And the most important one is to be serving your customer. So that is like a fundamental critical thing for everyone watching. Ask yourself, how much of my time am I actually serving my customer? If you don't have a customer because you're just trying to start a business and you're trying to start a product, remember that your business doesn't actually start when you have a product. Your business starts when you have a customer. So it all starts by basically saying, well, who's my first customer? Start with your user group, right? Oh, these 3 or 4 people are the ones I really want to serve. Start asking them how the product that you've actually got or what you're designing is designed to serve them, and is that a big enough problem that it would actually make them want to buy it? Get them involved in it, because if it is, then they're going to help you to actually co-create it. And this is the opposite of what used to happen, where, you know, build a better mousetrap, right? You know, build it, they will come. That's the industrial age. We're now in the technological age, which is all about the customer, not about the product, right? So don't be there building the website. Be there speaking to your customers, and outsource that part about building the website. Use Fiverr, use 99 Designs. Use one of the platforms where you can find a great designer who's going to be able to do that easily for you, and you can pay for that because you're going to have a customer who already is actually wanting that service. Right. Next, I'm going to come to Julian Farquhar in New Zealand, who has just set up a website, julianfarquhar.com. Right now, I do career and life transition coaching, and I have a passion for karate. I want to earn income, or I'm not selling my time. So I've launched a new site called Julian Farquhar on Foursquare. So how do I get my first customer? All right, so we've just been talking about that, getting your first customer. There's 3 fundamental steps if you're just getting started. And in today's world, especially if you're going to go online, but frankly, it's not just online, it's anywhere, it's understanding that we are now living in a world of flow where there's $5 trillion every single day, which is passing hands. And we're at the very beginning of any terrain, which includes online. It begins with the rain comes down. You know, it's like here in Bali, this happens. You know, that like there's rain coming down, and everything's dry, and so it doesn't matter where you are, you're going to get wet. Okay, so in the early days of the internet, you can just go set up a website like on Foursquare or a WordPress site, and because people were just showing up everywhere, you'd find that people would find their way to your site, or you can send people emails to get you to your site, and that was fine, right? They get them to your site, and in those early days, you could even sell something on your site and there was lots of courses around for the last 10 years. In fact, some people still sell these courses, which were saying, sell things from your site, have a really nice, landing page, have a way that people can buy something from your site. Those days are gone. And the reason for that is because people in the past used to be willing to go to someone's site, read through all that information, put in their credit card details, all of that. People don't have that attention span anymore. So what happens in Bali when it rains is that it's not long before that rain starts flowing, it hits the ground, it actually goes into channels, and then what you find is that the streams are running, where through those streams running, if you step into a stream, you immediately get all that flow. You don't have to wait for the rain to come anymore. In fact, even after the rain ends, you still have that flow coming your way. So that's what's happening with the internet. You want to set up a web store, you want to sell a product, that's for anyone out there, then go to Amazon, and if you set up a product there, you've got a river. It's called Amazon. It's a river which actually flows, where people will find you there and they'll buy from you much faster than having your own website on your own page where you're trying to sell. Doesn't mean you don't have your website, but don't expect that's where you're going to make the sales happen until you have a community or you have repeat customers that would rather come to your site because of what you're sharing. But to begin with, if I see something which is a product I'm looking for and I'm on Amazon, I know with one click, because I've already given Amazon my credit card details, straight away I can actually buy that product. I can buy that book. So if I want to buy a book, that's where I'll go. If I want to buy a specific product, that's where I'll go. They've got my details for my delivery. I can just press a click and it's done. And that's why so many more people will actually sell products if they're on a store like that. Now, in the case of someone like Julian's not looking to sell a product necessarily. It could be an online product of some sort. It could be a coaching training product. It could be someone that's in the career market who's actually between jobs. So this could be more like a training. So that isn't where you go to Amazon. It's where you would go to somewhere like Udemy. So Udemy, which is spelled U-D-E-M-Y, is the world's #1 marketplace today for any kind of course. And so instead of actually having a page where you're expecting people to come to Foursquare, and then you're saying, well, where are the people? And then trying to get them to draw off Facebook or draw off, LinkedIn or somewhere to actually come to your site. By being on a place like Udemy, where there's already many, many, many different courses, you can see, well, what's selling well. So for example, I can go onto Udemy right now, and I can look on there, career transition, and I can see all these different sites that are coming up, and actual courses that are coming up. And I can go try them out. I can see which one do I like best. Some are free, some are $17, some are paid for. But then you see why some are actually better than others, why some people are actually booking into these more than others. I can go do the same for karate. So here I am, I've got one called Karate for Kids. And on this one here, it's $17, and the trainer's got over 1,000 people on an online course where he doesn't have to be there. So he's got like $20,000 he's making just off this course with people coming through. Now, this doesn't mean you don't have to do your own marketing. You can't just rely on Udemy, but Udemy has already got millions of people on it. And those millions of people are all on there because they're trying to learn. And just like on Amazon, they've already got their account details. They've got their learning history on there. So they want to find their next course. And if they're on the career transition side, that's where they're going to go. So step number 1, location. Whether it's offline, whether it's online, location is everything today, and everything's flowing in the way that you want to get in the river to get wet. You don't want to be trying to dig, not instead of digging off a river, you're digging in a desert, because if you're in a desert where there's no one there yet, there's no one who's saying they want to buy, you don't have a queue of customers waiting to buy from you, digging in a desert is not digging a river, that's digging a hole. And so the most important thing is to get into a location where there's a river. Amazon's river, Udemy's a river, Etsy's a river, Facebook's a river. These are all rivers where there are already lots of people with lots of attention looking for a particular thing. And so if it's suited to them, they'll come your way. Second thing is location itself isn't enough, because you see there's lots of courses on there that no one's really buying. So the second thing is unique value. What is it unique about yourself? And that's where your brand comes in. So here, Julian, he's in New Zealand. He loves karate. He's all focusing and has lots of experience in career and life transition. You could create a brand called Career Dojo. You could create a brand which is all about how to make the right moves to get the life and career you deserve, right? Something which links in what you already know, which is, it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it that makes the difference. How you take control of yourself, how you get balance, how there's specific things you do which are not about how much effort you put in, but about making the right move at the right time. You can take all those same things you learn in karate, you can build it into it, and people go, that sounds like a lot more fun than just kind of listening to someone lecture me on how I go and put a resume together, right? So this is about you taking all the things that you're doing, going through the course, The other thing about anything like this, whether you're saying, I need to launch a new product, so I'll go to Indiegogo or Kickstarter. I've already got products, I'll go to Amazon. I've got a course, I'll go to Udemy. The other thing is that you're in a community of other people who already are doing it. So what that means is, with something like Udemy, you can find as soon as you join up and you actually register, which is free to register, and then you earn off everything that you sell, you straight away get invited into their community. They've got a big Facebook community. People are sharing what's working for them, what's not working for them, how much money they're making, what marketing they're doing. So you're actually in a community of other people doing exactly the same thing. The most dangerous thing to do when you go to sea is go on your own, right? The safest thing to do is go in a fleet. So go find your fleet and then follow along with them, and then you're learning every day. And most importantly, you're not doing it in a way that actually makes you feel like you're unsupported and you're alone. You're actually doing it with others where you're learning from them every day as well. Okay, so that's for Julian. Wow, okay, so far we've been traveling around the world. Let's come now to Thailand, all right? So this is Tanamed. Tanamed has a company called The Living Art. The website's thelivingart.co.th. Dear Roger, I just finished the exhibition for my light switch at the architecture fair. So he's got a light switch company, or a lighting company, in order to create awareness for my product and gain the contacts for projects and real estate companies, right? So my product brand story. You always need to have a story for your product and for your company, right? So he knows this, so he's doing that. My product brand story has been built on our designer. So there's a designer who's British, and it's an industrial designer. So having a personal brand helps. Sometimes you can leverage on other people's personal brands too. However, our supplier or the owner of the brand decided to discontinue the agreement with the designer and didn't want to use him for the advertising material anymore. They claimed it's too costly, so we can't use him in our advertising material, and we have to change the story of our product with a brand. A story that I built for years in the Thailand market. The advertising material, display on our selling channel, all has to change. It costs me up to $40,000 if I have to make these changes now. So how do I solve this problem? Should I replace all the material to follow my supplier? Or should I ask my supplier to continue paying? Or should I just not pay at all? And then who else would pay for it, right? So what do I do? It's very interesting when Richard Branson sells his Virgin companies, he'll get the money for the sale of the company, but he'll keep earning a royalty for the use of the Virgin name. So when you have a brand and the brand's got value, people will continue to pay just for that brand. And that includes whether it's your personal brand, people will pay you more money for speaking engagements or for product endorsements or even for partnerships on their products. Company brands is the same way. People will work with you and be willing to give you shares in their business if they could actually make it a Virgin company. And similarly, exactly the same when it comes also to the idea not just of yourself or your company, but also your product brands, right? So by actually knowing you've got certain people endorsing products or having them in your videos, that makes all the difference as well. So knowing that, what's my advice? My advice is to you is that you actually start building your own brand, Tanamed. Here's the point. The people who already recognize this person as the designer and knows their brand, the name of your lighting is not changing. So it's like a Virgin company where Richard Branson was in there and now he's no longer in there. That doesn't change the fact that he was the origin of it. So don't use them in the marketing. You don't need to, because the people that don't know of that, you could give them a different story, and once they understand that story, they'll still grow, right? So don't worry about having to go and try and get that person back because that's the best story you have. Create a better story. What if you create a story for yourself? What if you said, I'm going to be known as the person who is awarding every year to the top 10 most innovative lighting fixtures or lighting or lighted interiors in Thailand. I'm going to be known for that, right? And you go out looking for those. You get a team of people to go out looking for those. You find them, even if they're not using your lighting. And you actually go to those people and say, I'm going to be awarding this. You get yourself a whole session together. You get together with the Architecture Society or the people that you have contacts with, and you say, I'd love you to support this because we want to get out there and actually share just how innovative Thailand can be. Guaranteed, when you start awarding those top companies, they would love to be recognized for that. People then know you're the one that's out looking for them. You'll have people start contacting you saying, hey, can you come see us as well? You have people come to you and say, hey, you're the lighting guy. Tell us what's the best thing that we should be buying from you. You build your own personal brand, and if you do that, then you're going to find very quickly that that's going to take over, and you control that. You don't have to buy that. If actually people in the future will be wanting that, and they'll come and actually want to be buying from you because of your personal brand. So treat this as an opportunity, and same for everyone else on this call, on this video. Do know that the most important thing is your personal brand lasts for life, as opposed to a product brand which is far shorter. Many products only last for a couple of years nowadays, and your company brand even isn't going to last your entire life necessarily, or not necessarily with you being part of it the whole time either. All right, so coming over to Jacqueline Pigden, who's in Australia. We've got totally different people in different countries here. So Jacqueline has a company called lovemondaysnow.com. So you can go have a look at that. I'll do this. I'll actually put everyone who's actually as part of contributor here, I'll put on my YouTube channel in the comments, so you can go click on anybody, go have a look at what they're up to and connect with them as well, because everyone who's asking questions here are just like you, running a business, out there building a community, out there sharing knowledge with each other as well. Hi Roger, do you have any ideas for some headline questions that would capture the attention of financial planners? Okay, so Jacqueline's focusing at financial planners here. I thought perhaps something around what you said. So I had a conversation with Jacqueline some time ago. Same direction as travel agents. So what I said about travel agents is travel agents do not exist in the same form as before, which was a transactional form. So the middlemen of the past, the middlemen of the industrial age, where everything was a production line, have all disappeared. You don't use travel agents anymore because you can go straight onto a website or straight to the hotel, straight onto a platform like Expedia or TripAdvisor, and you can directly find what you're looking for, book it. You don't need a travel agent. So travel agents don't exist in the same way, which is why there's big companies like Thomas Cook that have actually gone bust. But that's transactional travel agents, where someone's just there to kind of like take you from A to B. Just like switchboard operators do not exist anymore, you just make the phone call. So anyone who's a middleman, whether you're a real estate agent, whether you're a teacher, right? Whether you're a doctor, where most of what you do is transactional, just saying, well, here's the drugs you need, you will be out of a job, provided you're focusing just at the transactional side. So why are most of those travel agents not out of jobs? Because they upgraded themselves from transactional to transformational. They said, well, no one's actually paying me to just book the flight anymore, but when they get to the other side, what do they want to do? I'm going to become a expedition provider. I'm going to be a tour operator. I'm going to be an adventure travel company, right? So each one of them has said, you know, people now, because they're not spending as much time or money on the transaction, are spending more time on then focusing on the experience they want. So they've gone into the experience, and many more people are now paying for the experience than they are paying for the content or for the transaction. So if you really get that and you go, wow, I'll always be in a job provided I'm always focusing at what it is that I'm actually delivering, which is fundamentally memories, right? It's like people now are willing to pay more money for memories than for anything. So how does financial planning come into that? Well, with financial planners are also going from those people who are just saying, I'm just going to kind of like tell you what's the best fund to book into or where to put your money, where people can find that out for themselves, to actually then saying, look, I've actually got a community, or I've actually got a group that's linked to the same things that you are. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to find out what to do best with your money, then I can work with you, because I work with other entrepreneurs and I actually can show you how that would work. If you're a family, I'm an expert at families. I work with families and it's all through referral, and I actually know out of all the information out there, the best way to make sense for where you're going by asking you the questions better than anyone about what kind of a life you want to design for your family. So you're niching in an area which is a community that has a common desire for a common experience. So the question is, well, what would be some headline questions I could ask, or what would be my, okay, here we go, what would be my marketing campaign promise, the goal for working with me, and how, and what it would look like. Okay, creative ideas. So think for a moment about, you'll never be remembered for the product you sell, you'll always be remembered for the problem that you solve. So it all begins by saying, well, this is about the financial planner themselves. What's the problem you're looking to solve for them? And the biggest problem that financial planners have is they're spending their entire time out there themselves chasing for business, right? They don't get enough business coming their way most of the time because they actually haven't niched and they haven't actually understood this for themselves. So you want to focus right at that problem, and you want to be able to deliver a solution. So remember, problem first of all. Why am I even listening to this? Okay, that is my problem. Yes, I'm listening. Product, what is it you're going to deliver for me? Or you're going to solve that problem? All right, heard that before. What are you going to do differently, right? The process or the product from the promise, which is the how. Oh, that's how you're going to do it. Going from right brain, which is like, I want that solved, to left brain, which is, I believe you can solve it. And then prove it. The proof is going to be basically who, right? So you're going from the why to the what to the how to the who. You're going from the problem to the promise to the product to the proof, right? So in your case, you could do that, I don't know, you could do something like, say, instead of flight planning, you could say, instead of financial planning, you could say flight planning. You could say your financial flight plan. You could say, you know, going from transactional to transformation. And you could say, stop chasing your business or stop chasing for the business, and build a community that are with you for life, right? How do you do that? Follow the process that I've connected with and the financial planners that are creating niches in their market where they're ending up with customers for life. And if you just go down that pathway where people go, that sounds like something I should have a look at, all right? Like, who's involved in this? And you start by actually having a couple of financial planners that are willing to come on board who people have heard of. Even if you discount your rate, even if you bring them in complimentary to begin with, so that people go, oh, I've heard of that person, I've seen them in the news, or there's someone that's already got a brand. If they're working with Jacqueline, I better find out what Jacqueline's doing. And you're getting it connected in to that whole idea. And in the same way, you've got Love Mondays now, why not actually build that up to Love Life now, right? So you've actually got something that's linking the whole idea of financial planning with life planning, because at the end of the day, you're not really looking to plan your financials, you're actually looking to plan your life. All right, let's come over to John. So we've got John Masters here from Visionaire, visionr.io. I had a really interesting last quarter where I focused on understanding who I am, what I love to do, and then working with branding and marketing specialists to brand that up. Great, that's good. Figured out who my ideal customers are, inserted myself into their conversations, launched my new website at the beginning of April. Good progress here, John. And by the second week of April, I was knackered. Great, okay. This is called burnout or blowout, right? I launched my new website at the beginning of April. Okay, so the last few weeks I've been resting and spending time doing the Clark Kent thing. So I talk about Superman and Clark Kent. Even Superman has to be Clark Kent some of the time, right? So like that's what's going to make you the money while the new thing is getting started. So I was doing the Clark Kent thing to keep the cash flow running, and I'm now ready for my next big push, which will be my first promotion plan. Thanks for the advice last month. I gave him some advice last month how to do that. The problem is that I'm now a month into my quarter, and I'm concerned about my natural rhythm doesn't seem to match my quarterly rhythm, right? So he's got this goal for the quarter, but he's not taking the right breaks or the rhythms to stop it. Is that normal? Or should I be reducing the scope of what I'm trying to do in each quarter so that it fits and I have time in there for celebrating, recovery, and re-energizing? Great question. You have to have a weekly rhythm, and you have to have a daily rhythm where every day you re-energize, every day you celebrate, every day. Like this is like you eat every day, right? You sleep every day. So you need to take everything that's going to energize you and bring it into every day. Everything that inspires you, bring it into every day. For most of us, we don't do it because we don't schedule it. If you didn't schedule all your meals, you wouldn't actually have the time to eat, and you'd be hungry at the end of the day. If you don't schedule that time when you're actually inspiring yourself. I do it every morning when I wake up. I'll take an hour and I have a process and ritual I go through, which many of you have heard about. They're in the YouTube videos here as well, which inspires me for the whole day before the day begins. I always have one intent for the day, and at the end of the day I check in and say, how do I do against that intent, right? And I'm either earning or learning, right? You're either learning something new or there's something you've actually now gained that you didn't have before. So what's really important is to have that daily cycle, whether you're doing your Clark Kent time or your Superman time. Have your weekly cycle where you've broken that down into weeks as well. 1 quarter, 13 weeks. 13 weeks goes by pretty quick. So if you don't know what it is you want to do, or once you know your quarterly plan within the first, second, third week, it's not going to happen. And the most important thing in all this is create the time and space to do it. If you're busy working and earning money working 4 days a week, take 1 day out, go somewhere totally different to work on your new project and say, right, this is my project, this is my Superman time, this is my Superman space. And don't be there on your own. Find someone else to be accountable to. Even if that person only shows up for like an hour a day, or an hour in that day when you're actually going to meet with them, it makes you accountable. Being your own boss is the worst thing you can possibly do, because you made the one person who can't hold you accountable in charge of yourself, which is yourself. Whereas the moment you have someone to, like, go to the gym, get yourself a trainer, you've got someone that you're being accountable to. And even if that's someone who works for you or someone who's a friend, by saying, hey, show up, I'll present to you, I'll tell you what I'm going to do next week, and then come back again and hold me accountable to that, you will find ways to get it done. Do remember that your unconscious brain works an awful lot more than your conscious brain, and your unconscious brain will work on whatever needs to be done because of the consequences. So if you've got a consequence, which is meeting with someone and not getting it done and feeling bad about that, you actually get it done in a way that if you don't have that meeting and there's no consequence on not doing it, it'll just get put off from week to week and it'll actually never happen. Right? So absolutely, if you don't do that, if you're not feeling in flow, it's because you're not taking those breaths. Just like if you swim and you don't take those breaths, you're going to be out of breath, right? So get the rhythm right, and everyone's got a slightly different way to do it. Do it in a way that actually works for you. All right. Okay. Sarah Taylor. So Sarah Taylor is a world championship bodybuilder and posing champion as well. She has here, what are some tips for conquering emotional mental conflict to non-flow activities? For example, creating, conducting surveys, cold calling, approaching people regarding collaboration, promoting. I'm in a deeply introverted mechanic space right now. So our wealth dynamics profiles has 8 different paths. Sarah's a mechanic, which is very much like Mark Zuckerberg running Facebook, is someone who is really good at being able to look at the system, definitely doesn't want to go cold calling, doesn't want to go out spending time with people. So I'm in a deeply introverted mechanic space at the moment, but need to be in a more extrovert star space. Sarah, you don't. I know we've talked about this as well. This is all about you getting the right team in place and just getting someone on the blaze energy, which is someone who's really good with people already. Actually, I've had a conversation with Sarah since she asked this question, and I actually got Sarah to actually name the person she could think of that she already knew who was out there that already was naturally great with people. Sarah did. I said, what's her number one problem or challenge this year that she's looking to solve? And Sarah said, I actually don't know. It's like, well, if you were to ask her out for coffee, do you know her well enough? She know you well enough, you want to go out for coffee? It's like, well, actually she does. It's like, well, then take her out for a coffee or take her out for a drink. Go somewhere and basically say to her, listen, you know, I'm looking to build my team right now, but I'm guessing there's things you're looking for as well. And it's not a coincidence I'm asking you out. I actually really love what you do, and give people acknowledgement as to why you're actually wanting to work with them or seeing if there's a possibility. And the great thing is you go looking for someone who's really well connected to people because it's what they naturally do. And even if they can't work with you, guaranteed they'll think of someone who can, because they're already more connected if you're an extrovert than you are as an introvert. So you always find the right people doing it that way. So if you're a creator, if you're someone trying to start something new, if you don't naturally like going out meeting with other people, think, who do I know in my network who just does that naturally? They'll want to go out of their way to help you, because people who are more extrovert, they actually get their reward by being able to connect people within their network in the first place. So just overcome that fear of going out and making that contact, and realize you're doing that person a favor by actually connecting up with them and asking for help. And by the way, don't ever shy away for asking for help. That's one of the biggest things I do every morning as part of my meditation process, is saying, who can I ask for help today and what value can I give them in return? And you'll be amazed at how much you can give value to everyone in return for their help, even by just being interested in where they're at and interested in how you could help them. That in itself actually gets them thinking about, well, where do I need that help? And that already gets them on the path of actually solving that biggest challenge they've got as well. All right, I got Peter Solway here. So Peter said, I am thinking deeply about my future vision at the moment, right? So talking about the future of where you're going. I'm an orange level supporter. Orange means that you're working for other people, or at least you're chasing the business as opposed to the business coming to you. And I've co-founded with a creator an investor-funded social group messenger startup. So it's a tech startup. We've been pivoting, relaunching multiple times, trying to get off the ground for 2 to 3 years. Well, congratulations on persevering so far. I'm really exhausted at the lack of success and lack of gaining any real traction. However, my business partner doesn't seem as fazed about how long it takes for us to get product market fit, so long as we're creating a better product, and has the attitude of never giving up. He seems to be encompassing the type of long-term passion for this that many great entrepreneurs talk about needing in order to create great success. And because I clearly feel different to him about what things are at, or where things are at, I'm questioning if I'm really passionate about the product we're building. I'm saying that being a supporter, I ask the question, is my passion that pushes me through the tough times going to come from the people I surround myself with, rather than the product or business or industry that I'm in? Is this more likely to be an indication that I'm protecting the wrong business, or that I potentially have wrong teams around me? You know, we always have those question marks. So thank you for the question. And these are these are really great questions coming up here. There's only one thing worse than continuing to persevere down the line you should not persevere down, which is to give up just before success. But both of them are pretty bad, right? And so you say, well, how do I know if I'm going down the right path or not? And this has everything to do with your future vision, which is what you said at the beginning, which is, can I see a future vision where the success of this company is part of that future vision? Because if you go, it's not really in there, it's like I'll be doing other things, then don't be doing it, right? You'll do your partner a favor by saying, we've got to find someone else that can take on what I'm doing. If in your future vision you go, it doesn't excite me to have this business in here being successful. Now that's different from you saying, oh, if it's successful, I'd be really happy with it being in there. If it's not successful, that's the issue. Because then this has nothing to do with your future vision, your path. This has everything to do with your execution. The fact that you haven't made it successful yet. And this is one of the biggest challenges, is some people confuse wanting the business they're in to be successful and wanting to be a part of that, and either the current success they're having or the job they're in. Like, they hate the job they're in, they've designed a job that's not the right job for them, and so they say, I don't want to have this business anymore, when in fact if they were in the right job in the business, in their flow, they'd love the business. Just like in your case, if your business was actually being successful today, would you actually want to stay? If the answer is no, I wouldn't want to stay because I don't actually enjoy the product or the people, then you need to move. If on the other hand you go, well, no, it is actually about the success. If it was successful, I'd still be here. Then you need to focus at that success. And that success does not come by continuing to pivot your products, because pivoting once is one thing. Pivoting once is when you listen to your customer and the customer says, this isn't actually what we want, but the product opened up the door to get to the customer. So you go, well, what does the customer want? Oh, they want this. All right, let's create a product for that. When you do that pivot, you should now get traction. If you do that pivot and the customer still doesn't want it, which means you've got to pivot again, that means you have no traction. Now, it could be, so if you've actually pivoted, lots of different product ideas, which creators do a lot of, and you don't actually have customers yet, then you're doing something really wrong right now, right? Which is a little bit like basically trying to score the goal with no opposition team and with no referee, and the game isn't even on yet, right? So really be really aware of that. That first proven concept stage, like a gardener, the gardener doesn't take a seed and go, look, I've got a tree. He doesn't do that. He takes a bunch of seeds, he throws them down, and what starts growing, he says that's the beginning of a tree. The rest of it he ignores. So a creator can have 100 different products, but it's not about how many products or how many ideas they have. It's about which is the one that's got traction, which is the one that our customers actually putting flow into in terms of time and money, so you can then grow that one thing. Now, if on the other hand, you say, no, we have been doing that, we do get customers, they do want something more, but it's just not enough customers, we pivot and then we actually get more customers and we want more, if that's where you're at, well, then it's a matter of saying, well, how many more pivots do we actually need to get there? And is it even about the pivot, or is it about me and my marketing ability? And that all comes down to your metrics, right? It's all down to every time you actually spend $1, how many dollars do you actually make based on the customer, and what's that predictability around that? And that's where you need to focus right now. I'm not trying to expand the business, but enhance it where the customer experience is so strong and your engagement is so strong that that one customer leads to 2, leads to 3, leads to 4, right? But you make those decisions based on pretty much what I shared there in terms of the criteria. And all your decisions for everyone will come from the criteria that you set. The clearer your criteria, the faster your decisions. All right, next we've got Steve Hill. Okay, we've got just 3 more questions here, so we're covering a little bit of ground. We have Steve Hill. He has a couple of different companies. He has 2 main areas of business. He's in New Zealand. He has Mind Warriors International, which has a focus on distribution of self-intelligence training systems for training organizations globally. And they do it through licensing. We also act as a licensee in New Zealand for Mind Warriors, which is mindwarriors.co.nz. And the products we have are all a part of the Jolt, J-O-L-T brand. We're combining the Mind Warriors International website with the Jolt products website. So there's 2. The site is for our licensees to refer to as we grow. Currently we have 3 other licensees. Our New Zealand licensee website, mindwarriors.co.nz, for New Zealand customers. Our current general manager says he'd rather have just one brand, Jolt, as in New Zealand people would know the product brand more than the business brand, and all the story content so far on the Jolt website is from New Zealand. My thinking is other licenses aren't called Jolt Australia or Jolt China. They have their own business brand licensing our product. So why would we call ourselves Jolt? Are we complicating things having 2 brands, Mind Warriors and Jolt? Okay, this is actually a really good question, because a lot of people get very, very confused about the difference of a company brand and a product brand, which I talked about earlier. Within Entrepreneurs Institute, Roger Hamilton is a personal brand. Entrepreneurs Institute is the company brand. Wealth Dynamics is a product brand. Entrepreneur TV is a product brand. My Millionaire Master Plan book is a product brand. My Fast Forward Your Business events is a product brand. You need to have product brands because the product brands allow other company brands to link to them. So when you come to our Fast Forward events, we have many partners there who also bring people to the Fast Forward events as well. Wealth Dynamics is used by many, many companies around the world who want to have their own company brand, but talk about using Wealth Dynamics just in the same way that, whether you have got a computer which is branded by IBM or one branded by Dell, you'll find Intel as a product within it, or Microsoft software within it. So being really aware that your Jolt brand is a product brand, right? It's a training system. So by having that as a product brand, you can have people who are certified in the Jolt training system. But that doesn't change the fact that in the future, who knows, your Mind Warriors company brand may choose to actually have more than one product. You might say, Jolt's working great, but our customers are now looking for a second product. And you go out and partner with someone who's got a second product, and you bring that into the same company brand. So I would actually go with what you're saying, Steve, which is rather than trying to rebrand your entire company to the product, keep your own company brand, but be really, really clear what the product is that you're actually marketing. And even ask yourself, in the future, do we think we'll still just be a one product company, or do we actually think in the future we'll actually have multiple products? And maybe even Jolt is a product range. So you have Jolt leadership, you have Jolt teams, you have Jolt startups, you have Jolt that's actually linking to different customer niches that actually allows you then also to have different certified trainers in every one of those areas as well, right? But absolutely critical. Why do you need product brands? They allow you to do partnerships with other company brands far more easily. Why do you need a company brand? Because they need to do partnerships with other product brands far more easily. James Looker. JamesLooker.com is his website. I'm struggling to find a way to leverage my creator genius to get out of infrared, which means that you're losing money every month. I want to share my ideas, visions, big picture discernment to other businesses in flow, but I'm having trouble finding these people. So this is the whole thing about we most want to teach what we most need to learn. You want to show other people how to get in the flow, but you're not on flow yourself yet. Hence, this is why I'm asking the question. I have time, energy, big picture insights, and looking for outlets in exchange to get out of my current level. How do I find people that can benefit from my magic? Perfect question. So one thing you notice for both James and earlier we also had Julian who asked the same question, which is, all right, how do I get my first customer? How do I get going? In both cases, they're focused at their personal brand, which is a good place to start, right? So both of them have a brand which is the brand of your personal name. To then be thinking, well, what is the product brand that I'm actually out there connecting my customers to? And like I said, that product brand, you can create it yourself to start with if you have customers. If you don't have customers, you're better off going and finding the best products in the marketplace and say, hey, I'll partner with them, I'll learn from them. And the best platforms in the marketplace, connect with them and learn from them. So you heard what I said earlier to Julian, whether it's going on to Udemy because you've got training, whether it's going on to Amazon because you've got products. Choose the place already where others just like you are out there actually delivering results, and you'll find in every one of those cases, and even if it's just your time, you can go straight onto Upwork, right? You can go straight onto Freelancer, and you can say, well, I've got a skill set as an accountant, as a web designer. I've got a skill set as an administrator. What are other people on there actually making as money, where they're actually offering their services and already getting business coming their way? Connect with those people saying, hey, how's business going with you? You'll find the people that are doing well. They'll share with you what they're doing. Almost always, you'll find the best guys are overloaded and they're looking for help anyway. They know how to market. They've got a reputation. They've got the trust. They've got a river and they're looking for someone else to flow from, right? All big rivers have tributaries. So be a tributary for a river. Go connect to the people already who are doing the things you want to do, but have got the money, but not the time. You've got the time without the money. So follow the flow is about connecting with others already in the flow, rather than kind of like being in the desert, digging a hole, wondering when the water's going to come, right? So that's absolutely what you should do. Don't start by saying, what should I be doing? Start by saying, who's my customer? Who's my partner? And get a list of your top 10 in both of them. Phone them up, speak to them. Don't just send emails, but actually get connected, meet with them. And every one of those meetings, you'll learn something from it. If you come from a place which is saying, I love what you do, I'd love to find a way to work with you. What's the biggest challenge you've got that I could actually support in some way? If 6 months from now, your life was different, what would you be doing you're not doing today? What would you not be doing anymore? What would shift, right? And if you come from a place where people, instead of looking at you suspiciously saying, why are you asking these questions, are coming saying, hey, here's someone who actually really genuinely really wants to support me, because they're in a position in their life where they know they're better off working with someone they can support than just trying to go out, figure it out for themselves. You'll be amazed at how much people are willing to be open about that, because we all have challenges that we're looking to solve. And when someone shows up and actually says they're going to help us to solve it, not coming as a problem, but coming as a solution, it's amazing how quickly you're going to find ways that you can actually help people, and that as a result of helping them out, even if it's just for free to start with, you'll find ways that they're going to be willing to pay you. And always know, if you're going to help with someone, don't just help on something where there's no way to measure it. Make sure it's helping on something which allows them to either go off and make more money, so you can actually measure how much more money got made by you getting involved, or you find a way, or they find a way to save money in what they're doing. And so as a result, instead of more revenue, you got more profit. But both ways, there's an actual monetary return on investment by you being there. And then it's just a matter of time before it's going to be clear how much money is the right amount that you'd be earning by helping them out as well. You always, when you're at infrared or red level, make more money helping someone else to make more money themselves than you will trying to just make the money from scratch yourself. And that gets to the final question here, which is from Yong Kang, who's in Singapore, nerdycreator.com. Here is what Yong Kang says. He says, hi Roger, I was rewatching one of your YouTube videos on Identify Your Identity, which is the branding one, and I realized my top 3 role models have changed. Previously, I felt lost in the animation industry, so he's an animator, now that I'm a self-help author, not an animator, I ask myself again, who are my top 3 role models? So when you're getting to your identity, it's all about role models. When you're getting to your business identity, it's all about business models. And here he says the names I came up with for the top 3 role models is Lao Tzu, Dr. Wayne Dyer, and Eckhart Tolle. All right, so we've heard of some of them. For a week, I was really afraid because they are great spiritual leaders and philosophers. I was drawn to what they were teaching, but I felt intimidated at the same time. What do you do when your role models are so successful and you are just starting out? Well, the first thing is you don't compare yourself to them. You get inspired by them. I'm interested in self-love. I'm interested to help others with it, but not as interested to learn more about it now. On the other hand, it's something I'm currently very interested in learning now and see myself in as the future. So what identity of how can I brand myself right now as an author? How do I transit between the two? Okay, so this is exactly what I just said. Do not go out trying to just be a self-help author. Go to the people you really care about, the ones that you'd love to help. Okay, Lao Tzu's not around right now, but you go and look at what Wayne Dyer is doing, right? Even though Wayne Dyer, in terms of his life itself has passed away, like he passed away several years ago, his business continues, his products continue. He can, the organization that supports him continues and is selling his products as well, and they have partnerships. They do. Eckhart Tolle is the same thing. You can actually be working even with Amazon that sells all of Eckhart Tolle's books, like The New Earth, and you can actually have those books that would actually be available for you to sell to the people that you know as well. You can have a work group around it that you're actually supporting people on that within the creative industry, and actually have people come around for a mastermind. Right? The most important thing is knowing that by going to the people who've got the best stuff in the world already, by you having a passion for that, you have a way already of taking the best, adding your own value to it. Imagine if you took a New Earth. Imagine if you took a New Earth and turned it into an animated book review of a New Earth. Imagine you went to some of Wayne Dyer's books. You actually did an animated book review. You put them on YouTube. Now you've got animated book reviews on YouTube that people would start watching, and you see what people love and how they love it. And you're taking your skill sets, you're taking your passion, and now your purpose, and you link it all together as well. Right? This is the fundamental key to this, is knowing that this is about standing on the shoulder of giants. You don't have to go start again, start from the bottom while they're up there. You can start from where they left off and build it up from there. And that would be my final thing I'll say to everybody. We as humanity are taking those steps up. In the coming months, you're going to see something brand new coming out, which is going to be the purpose test that we're going to be launching, which is going to allow you to find out which of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals is your #1 purpose, and how you can then link with others on Genius U, so that whether you've got a business or whether you're just an apprentice entrepreneur, you can connect with others and actually grow your business. And we've also got our Fast Forward webinar that's coming up, where I'm going to talk about the top 3 trends, so connect in with those as well. For everyone who's part of Entrepreneur Mastermind, hope you've enjoyed me answering your questions. Do post into our private group any learnings you had from this, and obviously for everyone who's listening in on this, post down below whatever questions you've got, so that in the future we will have another Q&A, and I'll come back and actually pick them up from there as well. Any comments you've got, just go ahead, post them down there as well. Would love to hear from you. Until the next Entrepreneur TV episode, have a fantastic couple of weeks ahead, and we'll catch up with you later.